Picture this. It's Friday night. You've had a remarkably long week, and you're just scrolling through your favorite streaming service.
Oh yeah, we've all been there, just looking for something easy.
Right. You spot this movie poster featuring a cute, slightly scruffy, very attentive-looking dog. And you immediately think to yourself, perfect, a nice, heartwarming animal movie to help me unwind.
You're expecting the classic formula.
Exactly. You think, I'm going to get some warm fuzzies, maybe a happy ending where the dog saves the day from, like a cartoonish landlord. So you make some popcorn, get comfortable on the couch, and you hit play.
And then reality hits.
Oh man, does it. 2 hours later, you are just staring blankly at the dark television screen. Your popcorn is completely untouched, and you are just utterly, irreversibly emotionally wrecked.
It really is the ultimate cinematic bait and switch. I mean, you go in expecting a lighthearted romp, right?
Yeah.
An easy distraction from your own life.
Yeah.
And instead, you walk out carrying the devastating weight of the entire human condition.
Which brings us to the mission for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are unpacking the Thai film GOHAN. And to figure out why this movie is resonating so deeply and honestly, so painfully with international audiences, we've pulled together some great sources.
We've got a lot of good stuff to go through.
We do. We're looking at reviews, cultural critiques, and audience discussions from Tag Thai, The Bangkok Post, Cinegang.ph, and Wikipedia.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because audiences almost universally went into this expecting just another dog movie.
Right.
Yet, as Tag TI notes, they left having experienced this sweeping, devastating portrait of loneliness and survival. It has completely blindsided people.
What's fascinating here is that the central premise defies the entire genre from the opening frames.
Yeah.
Like the dog in this film, GOHAN, is never once used merely as a cute emotional trigger.
Definitely not.
He isn't there to perform complex tricks to advance the plot, and he certainly isn't there to provide comic relief when things get heavy.
Yeah.
The filmmakers are doing something far more ambitious. They use GOHAN as a mirror.
A mirror. That's a really intense way to frame it. It is, because the reflection staring back at the audience is this panorama of the hidden, often intensely painful realities of Thai society.
So, to truly understand why that mirror analogy holds up, we need to look closely at who is actually standing in front of it. Because this isn't the traditional narrative of, one boy and his loyal dog growing up together in a picturesque suburb.
No, not at all.
The Bangkok Post review really highlights how the narrative spans nearly a decade. And it's broken down into these incredibly distinct, fragmented chapters of GOHAN's life. He is passed along from person to person.
And the demographics of those owners are incredibly deliberate.
Right, yeah. First, he's with a lonely Japanese engineer who's nearing the end of his career. Then the dog ends up with an undocumented migrant worker. Later, he's taken in by a group of university students just trying to navigate their chaotic entry into adulthood.
If you look at the common thread weaving through all of those individuals, I mean, they are all, in some fundamental way, existing on the extreme periphery of society.
Yeah, they're the outsiders.
Exactly. The Japanese engineer has given his best years to the corporate machine, and now, staring down retirement in a foreign country, he's functionally invisible.
Wow, yeah.
And the undocumented worker is literally hiding in plain sight, right? Living in constant fear of being discovered. Even the university students are in this deeply unstable, transient phase of life, just unanchored and uncertain. They are all marginalized. They are the vulnerable.
Think about the typical Hollywood animal movies you've seen. Usually the pet operates as this magical fixer of human problems. The protagonist adopts a golden retriever, and suddenly, because of the dog's wacky antics, they meet the love of their life at the dog park.
Or they get a huge promotion at work.
Exactly. Their fractured family instantly heals. But GOHAN operates in a completely different universe. It feels much more like a street-level documentary of a wounded society.
That's a great comparison.
It just stitches together these fragments of broken, isolated lives, and the dog is simply the silent witness passing through their living rooms.
And Cinegang.pf praised the film extensively for exactly this quality, calling it a work of brutal honesty. The movie just refuses to construct a fantasy world where a wagging tail and a wet nose magically dismantle systemic inequality.
A dog can't fix immigration policy.
Exactly. Through these transient owners, the film exposes how modern society treats the forgotten. You watch the aging Japanese worker slowly realize he is becoming entirely obsolete to the economy. You witness exploitation masquerading as charity when dealing with the migrant worker.
Which is just gut-wrenching to watch.
It really is. Most powerfully, you see the deep, unspoken mutual vulnerability shared between an undocumented human and a stray animal. Society looks right past both of them. They both exist one bad break away from disaster.
That specific mutual vulnerability between the stray dog and the undocumented worker is one of the most haunting elements in the sources. They were both just trying to survive day to day without a safety net, just hoping they don't get chased out of whatever temporary shelter they found.
It's pure survival.
And what I found incredibly heartbreaking in the commentary is the observation about how the transitions between these different owners actually happen. It mimics the jarring pain of real life perfectly.
No, absolutely.
People enter our lives, sometimes they stay for a season, and then they leave suddenly. There is rarely any soaring music or a poignant goodbye speech. The person is just gone. The dog wakes up and the dynamic is permanently shifted.
That abrupt lack of closure plays on a very universal human fear. As an audience, you sit down craving narrative resolution. We are conditioned to want the neat, tied-up ending where everyone understands exactly why they had to part ways.
We want the characters to talk it out.
Right. But the realism of Gohan denies you that comfort. As one of our sources pointed out so poignantly, the humans disappear, but the dog waits. The dog follows. The dog remembers.
Wow.
Humans are forced by circumstance to move on so much faster than animals do, and the movie deeply understands and weaponizes that painful emotional imbalance.
But, exploring all these heavy societal themes, aging, migration, intense economic pressure, it could so easily collapse into a preachy, heavy-handed human drama.
Oh, for sure. It could feel like homework.
Right, like you're sitting through a dense sociological lecture. Yet the movie avoids that trap, and it does it by making a radical, almost alienating storytelling choice. According to Sinagang.vh, the narrative is largely framed through the dog's emotional experience.
Which drastically limits the human dialogue.
Yes, drastically limiting the dialogue that would normally explain the socioeconomic plot points.
It forces the viewer to abandon their intellectual distance and experience the story purely through sensory and emotional input.
I genuinely have to push back on the effectiveness of that, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
As a viewer watching a 2-hour film, if we only experience the world through a dog's limited cognitive understanding, doesn't the movie just become a confusing mess?
It's a fair question.
Think about it. If I don't know why the migrant worker is suddenly packing his bags and crying, if I don't know whether he's being deported or if he just lost his wages, don't we lose the entire impact of the social commentary? How did the filmmakers sustain a cohesive story when all the actual plot decisions are being made above the main character's head?
I understand the skepticism, and honestly, it's a structural risk that usually fails in lesser hands. The answer to your question is kind of counterintuitive.
Okay, how so?
That limitation, that intentional withholding of context, is actually the engine of the film's emotional power. Yes, the audience feels a profound sense of confusion, but it's not narrative confusion, it's emotional confusion. By stripping away the exposition and the complex context of why things are happening, the film boils every relationship down to its absolute core, which is pure emotional dependency. You aren't distracted by the complex immigration laws causing a character distress. You just feel the raw, suffocating anxiety radiating off them exactly the way the dog does.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. You're saying that because Gohan doesn't understand the socioeconomic reasons why his owner is distressed, the film is actively telling us, the audience, to stop intellectualizing their pain.
Exactly.
We are forced to just sit in the raw, unfiltered emotion of the moment with them.
It strips away our human pride. The humans in this movie are deeply flawed. They are inconsistent. They are buried under the weight of their own survival. They are exhausted, and sometimes, out of necessity, they are profoundly selfish.
Right. They aren't perfect heroes.
No, not at all. But when the camera forces you to look at them strictly through Gohan's unjudging eyes, the entire socioeconomic hierarchy collapses. Even their most imperfect, fleeting affection becomes deeply, overwhelmingly meaningful.
That changes the scale of everything we see on screen. When you describe it that way, a simple bowl of cheap kibble, or a quiet walk down a dingy street, or just a tired, calloused hand resting on the dog's fur, those tiny, mundane gestures suddenly carry the emotional weight of a grand cinematic monologue.
Yes.
To a creature that only understands the world through the lens of attachment, a hand resting on its head isn't just a casual gesture. It is the entire world. It's almost as if the dog's limited perspective is what actually redeems these flawed humans. The audience sees their small acts of grace magnified 1,000 times over.
And that complete reliance on these small acts of grace is exactly what sets up the film's most widely discussed and devastating sequence.
You were talking about the train scene.
The train scene. It is the emotional crucible of the entire film.
If you've looked up anything about this movie online, read the Wikipedia summary, or glanced at a single review, you know about the train scene. It's the pivotal moment where the character Namcha leaves Gohan behind, boarding a train journey, heading toward Bangkok.
It's hard to even talk about.
It is. But here's where it gets really interesting. The most agonizing part of this scene isn't that something violently horrific happens. It's that there is no villain. There is no dramatic, mustache-twirling betrayal.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the train itself operates as a massive, crushing piece of symbolism. Think about the nature of train. It operates on a fixed, unyielding track. It moves relentlessly forward.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop to accommodate your feelings, it doesn't wait until you are financially stable, and it certainly doesn't pause until you are emotionally ready to say goodbye. It just goes.
Namcha, leaving him on that platform, it isn't an act of malice. It's pure cold circumstance. The Bangkok Post describes her sheer desperation. She isn't a bad person throwing a dog away because she's tired of him. She's completely trapped by her reality.
This is why the scene absolutely destroys audiences. Gohan doesn't understand the complex human realities of poverty. He has no concept of what it means to be evicted, or the intricacies of needing to move to a massive city to find labor to survive.
How could he? He's a dog.
Right. He only understands one singular, terrifying truth. He is being left behind by the person who constitutes his entire world. Capturing that specific moment of abandonment in complete silence, just watching the micro-expressions of the dog as the doors close and the machine pulls away, is infinitely more painful than any dramatic, tear-filled monologue a human actor could possibly deliver.
Have you ever tried to explain to a pet why you're leaving the house for a week-long trip?
Oh, it's impossible.
They just look at you, completely unable to grasp the concept of your return. Now magnify that to a permanent abandonment driven by poverty. It captures one of the hardest, most uncomfortable truths about love that we rarely want to face in media.
That love isn't always enough to make things work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes people abandon what they love, not because they stop caring, but simply because the brutal reality of their life gives them no safe choice. They are backed into an impossible corner by circumstance, and love, no matter how pure, isn't enough to pay the rent or secure a visa. The movie just forces you to sit there on the platform with that grief.
Yeah.
It violently refuses to give you an easy answer or a magical last-minute rescue.
It forces you to bear witness to the inevitability of circumstance. Just like the train moving forward on its tracks, grinding ahead regardless of the emotional carnage left behind.
And, just as that train forces Gohan physically forward into the unknown, the film's actual physical structure forces the audience through the inevitable, unyielding passage of time.
This is one of my favorite parts to analyze.
It's such a fascinating detail pulled from the sources. The filmmakers made the incredibly unorthodox choice to use 3 entirely different directors for the film's 3 distinct chapters.
It is a massive structural risk. And as you'd expect with any bold artistic swing, it drew some highly mixed reactions. Some critics found it jarring, arguing that changing directors created wildly uneven pacing, causing the movie to feel disjointed. However, the deep dives we're looking at today push back on that criticism, arguing that this fragmentation isn't a flaw at all. It's a brilliant, tactile reflection of the movie's core themes regarding memory and time.
Think about your own life for a second. Your life doesn't maintain one consistent tone or one consistent color palette from birth to death.
No, definitely not.
Your childhood, your 20s, and your older years, they aren't just different chapters in a cleanly edited novel. They feel like entirely different genres of movies directed by different people. Childhood feels like this warm, slightly blurred, nostalgic indie film.
I love that analogy.
And your 20s and 30s are often this tense, chaotic, socially grounded thriller where the camera's shaky and you're just trying to survive the day. And older age transitions into a slow burn, quiet, bittersweet drama.
That genre comparison perfectly captures what the 3 directors achieve visually and tonally in Gohan. According to the breakdown in cinegang.ph, the first chapter is noticeably warmer, steeped in a sort of golden nostalgia.
Right.
The middle chapter, where Gohan is navigating the dangerous world with the migrant worker, becomes incredibly tense. The camera work is more erratic, the pacing is anxious, and the visual style reflects the instability of their shared life. And then, inevitably, we reach the final act.
The final act. where the tone shifts yet again, becoming incredibly stripped down, bittersweet, and reflective.
As Gohan ages, the audience is forced to watch him slowly lose his senses. He grows physically weak. The vibrancy and kinetic energy of the earlier chapters drain away, replaced by long, quiet frames. This is where the movie makes its most profound, devastating shift. It stops being a movie about a dog passing through human lives.
What does it actually become then?
It becomes a meditation on our own mortality. By the time you reach that final act, sitting on your couch staring at the screen, you aren't really crying for a dog anymore. You are crying for time itself.
Oh, wow.
The film subtly forces you to mourn your own neglected relationships, the homes you have lost to the past, and the people you have had to leave behind on your own metaphorical train platforms. It corners you with the terrifying realization that no matter how fiercely you love someone or something, love cannot halt mortality. Time wins. The train always keeps moving.
That entirely recontextualizes the experience of watching it. You walk in thinking you're going to mourn a fictional pet, but you walk out mourning the relentless passage of your own life. So what does this all mean?
That's the big question.
When we look at everything we've unpacked today, the fractured, marginalized society, the emotional isolation of the dog's eye view, the crushing inevitability of the train scene, and the structural shifting of time through the different directors, what is the ultimate takeaway from a story like this? I think we have to look closely at the title of the film and how it wrestles with the concept of home. What the critical sources synthesize so beautifully is that in the world of Gohan, home is never a physical structure. It's never a house with a white picket fence or a permanent address. Home is defined purely and tragically as temporary emotional safety.
Temporary. That really is the key to all the heartbreak, isn't it?
Yes. Home is the fragile act of being remembered by someone else. It is the simple, profound experience of having somebody waiting for you at the end of the day, even if that day was spent surviving in the shadows of a sprawling city. The cruelest, but perhaps most deeply honest thing the movie suggests is that many living beings, dogs and humans alike, spend their entire lives just wandering, endlessly searching for that fleeting feeling of emotional safety.
The film delivers that devastating message with such incredible, admirable restraint. I mean, it would have been so incredibly easy for the directors to crank up the swelling string music, use dramatic slow motion, and artificially manufacture a highly manipulative piece of sad dog sentiment.
It's what we usually expect.
But they actively chose not to. They chose gentleness. They trusted the agonizing silence of a train platform. They trusted the subtle micro-expressions of a stray dog. And most importantly, they trusted you, the audience, to feel the immense pain of the situation without needing exaggerated, manufactured tragedy to tell you when to cry. That immense restraint is exactly what makes those emotional gut punches hit with such staggering force.
I want to leave you with a final reflection drawn from the Tags DI review, which I think points to why this film is resonating far beyond just movie critics. Gohan proves that, paradoxically, stories centered around animals can often reveal the core of human nature far more honestly than human-centered narratives ever could.
Because animals strip away our context.
Because animals exist without a social ego. A stray dog doesn't care about your job title, your financial portfolio, your immigration status, or your curated social image. Their utter simplicity acts as a powerful contrasting agent, exposing the deep, often terrifying emotional emptiness of modern life. They strip away all our complex pretenses and leave us naked with our basic needs.
It really asks you to consider something deeply uncomfortable. If it takes a stray dog, a creature with absolutely no understanding of our social ladders, our economy, or our complex pride, to show us how utterly broken our systems of connection are, what does that say about the narratives we usually prioritize?
It's a huge wake-up call.
Are all our complex, dialogue-heavy human dramas just elaborate ways to distract ourselves from the simple, terrifying truth that we all just desperately want someone to stay? Ultimately, this film isn't really about a dog at all. It is about all of us, wandering through the constantly changing, often brutal phases of life, desperately hoping to find a place or a person that truly feels like home. Got any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions or favorite moments in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more reviews and content on the latest news, movies, dramas, and books. And hit the bell icon so you won't miss any new updates.